Emily.
I
think
so.
That's what you're going to get today. These two teams will deliver, and a lot of these two teams has been about the jungle matchup, Blaber and Gryffin. Really do encapsulate the qualities of their team that are both the best and the worst.
The entirety of the team.
Yes, they really do. And you can see it come out in draft a lot as well. The Shyvana ban here targeted at Gryffin. Right now, Shyvana is such a strong carry champion. They oftentimes are able to get huge CS leads and get him to that juggernaut status. And they actually paid more respect to Gakgos than Raz did.
I know!
Because they banned the Olaf, which is premier top lane juggernaut carry right now as well. Whereas Raz was sticking him down in last place.
Yeah. C9 putting some respect on Gakgos' name, or at least on Olaf's name.
At least on Olaf's.
As they'll also ban out that Cassiopeia. Jarvan Nocturne Bard banned out by FlyQuest, and C9 makes the same play that so many of our teams are making these days in their game ones. They're picking the Ezreal first and foremost.
Yeah, and I like the immediate response of picking up the Karma for FlyQuest to separate out. That is still one of the hardest pushing lanes available. And yeah, as you pointed out, Ezreal has been such a high cryo AD carry. Even back on the last patch, when everyone was like, oh, mage bot lane is a thing, Ezreal was the most popular champion.
And this is a classic response to early Ezreals and first picking it, is stealing away the Karma and adding the Caitlyn to get a push lane yourself. Try and play for tower plate money. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Just push in the wave, constantly get your peacemakers through, constantly look for your karma poke, and try and be the ones with the pushing bottom lane. That determines so much of games right now. If you get bottom lane control, then you're able to start stacking dragons, and has been the most reliable course to success.
And it's one of the things that defined this FlyQuest team specifically when they were doing well, right? When they were surprising us in Split 1 and Split 2, it was through the power of this bot lane of Massu and Cryogen. And thus far in this split, they've looked a little bit shakier. I think they didn't necessarily adapt to some of the support roam meta, especially with the timers that Cryogen was sometimes missing on the map. But as we see, that Gnar locked in for Gakgos.
And I think that this it should be a good situation for Cryogen, a better situation, because not only does he get his hands on one of these range supports that has been better for him than some of the engaged ones, but also with the changes, the more restrictive support role quest, that also kind of lends itself more towards locking people in lane, getting more time for Caitlyn Karma to try and pressure. It'll be a little bit more punishing if Leona is trying to leave, to look for roams and affect the other lanes. But you can also just straight up try and look to crack that Caitlyn Karma lane with some ganks and some kills. We'll see if Blaber's able to get down there. Vi, unfortunately, is usually more of a level 6 champion, but you definitely can come after just your first full clear and do like a Q flash play onto the bot.
Yeah, at least try to disturb that bot lane, right? I like removing the Vayne, kind of necessary if you're going to be blinding that Gnar on the top side. Really want to set up for Gakgos in this lane, even if, maybe I disagree with Raz's tier list of it. I do think that Gakgos has had a bit of a rough start to this split, even on these kind of carry top laners that we kind of knew him for previously. So I'm hoping for a good game out of him. Obviously, Thanatos is a really tough opponent to go up against, and you can already see that with the Ambessa and Vayne both taken off the table.
Exactly. Double bans in the top side. Meanwhile, for C9, they're saying, all right, well, we've got our jungler. Let's ban out some of the good answers into that, and they ban out 2 champs that can straight up just stat check Vi anytime they run into her. The Trundle, the Nasus that Gryffin is so well known for.
Gryffin special.
Both now no longer available here in this first game. It's back over to FlyQuest. Remember, they will have the final pick of the entire draft. I highly expect this to be saved for Quad in the mid lane, so I want to see what they go with for the jungler here on Fly.
Yeah, I'm also curious. I do want to bring up the fact that Azir has kind of received successive buffs. Both of these mid laners, it's Loki's most played and one of Quad's best champs as well.
Do they want to go with a Yorick into the Gnar and try and split push on the side of Cloud9? I'm very interested to see if Thanatos wants to. Okay, so he does want to go for the 1v1, though. He does want the aggressive Jayce match into it. And honestly, that is a very good one. So it does give Blaber multiple options of areas on the map he can go to. I will say, though, I've been a huge fan of Wukong. Even previous to the jungle pet buffs that just went down, they were not straight up a line in the patch notes that was, hey, we buffed Wukong, but the jungle pet getting more damage based on resistances greatly benefits Wukong because you get a bunch of extra armor off of your passive, and it did increase the clear speed of this champion. So it is one of the best jungle champions in solo queue right now. You can carry team fights with it. You can delete enemy carries that are low mobility. And guess what? That is exactly what you want when you're playing against an Orianna, when you give over one of those powerful mid lane mages. If you have Azir blow the flash and you have Wukong ganking, that is a recipe for success.
And we do see the Azir coming out for Quad. It is his third most played all time. He's 19 and 10 on it with a 65% win rate. And I think when FlyQuest was succeeding previously with their old roster, they did such a good job of giving Quad so much side lane farm to then affect the map that way. We've been kind of missing that a little bit more with this FlyQuest team, but I would suspect to see something like that come out where they're really going to try to funnel a lot of side waves into this Azir because Quad is so comfortable on it.
All right, draft is done for game number 1. Both of these teams, like we've already talked about a little bit, not quite the start they were hoping to, not that explosive initiation into summer to set themselves as one of the top contenders here, but both of them still hungry to get on track, still hungry to be one of those top competitors heading into playoffs, heading into Worlds. And Emily, we already know this is your match of the week.
It is. Yeah, Raz was the Ultimate Grudge Match Bowl Part 2 yesterday between Thanatos and Shopify, which was a good choice.
Good choice, Raz.
He always complains that he can't pick first. He can pick first, and he did. But this is my match of the week.
Wait a second. Wait, really? Raz is allowed to pick first?
Yeah, he picked first the past 2 weeks. You're just lying to the people, Kobe.
Oh my God. I mean, Azale's the one that said it. But now my entire world has been shattered here.
Has it?
Yes.
You disagree with
we
Raz?
always felt bad for Raz. We always felt bad for Raz because we're like, oh, Raz is left with the leftover picks, right?
No, he's picking those. He's picking those matches himself.
I see. Well, Emily, you're the one with the leftovers here, the Cloud9 FlyQuest. That's why you were talking about how much action you want from this game.
And it's not going to be leftovers, right? Because the AD already set up how important this could be for actual Worlds implications down the line, how both of these teams are hungry, and how Vulcan can get a snazzy support record by passing Aphromoo for most assists all time in the LCS, which is actually an insane statistic to hit.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of times we see people kind of hit these milestones of, oh, he's number 5 now, or oh, he broke into the top 10. A lot of those really tip-top spots are so far cemented away from everybody else, from players who have played for years and years and years and years. It's very difficult to contest them. And so here you can see just the difference between number 1 and then going down to number 6 is over, 1,000. Vulcan now 30 away from Aphromu's spot. So there's the potential for that to happen here in this series. There's a very high likelihood of it happening here in Summer Split. It would be very surprising for it not to happen. Vulcan and C9 would have to have some pretty lousy games. So we'll keep our eye on that one as things go forward.
And small shout out to Blaber. He's going to be moving up the ranks today, provided he gets 2 assists in this series.
I would hope that my jungler could get 2 assists in a series. That would be pretty important.
Oh, no assist on that
one! Here in the top side, as soon as we pan up into top lane, Thanatos on the Jayce, maybe justifying some of Raz's Gakgos slander. Let's take another look.
I was going to say, are we just going to have to say Raz was right immediately here? Thanatos teleports in, gets the shock blast on the Gakgos. Let's see, and then it's just going to go regular hammer for him. What in the heck, man?
Huh?
Oh! That's rough.
Yeah, that's...
The little mini Gnar just got a hammer to the head, Flowers.
That mini Gnar is a puddle of guts and goop on the ground now, man. That hammer squished him.
Yeah, I mean, electrocute Jayce shocked him.
Zap. Not really good. Okay, well, Mini Gnar has unfortunately started off with a really, really bad turn of events up here in the top lane, but C9's loving it.
Honestly, though, the reaction gif is the best. It was perfect. He's just scratching his head there. Well, I guess I'm dead. Uh-oh. That guy could just teleport in and kill me like that? Okay.
Yeah, so Thanatos certainly living large up here in the top side, checking in on junglers. They did start on opposite areas of the map. First Scuttle Crabs have already been cleared. You can see Gryffin lurking here around the top side, but for Thanatos, things are great. Yeah, his jungler's on the opposite end of the map right now, but the wave is coming to him, so it's not like he's going to be under any pressure after securing that solo kill earlier. Top lane going exactly as C9 would want it. Meanwhile, down there in the bottom lane, you can see the largest individual CS lead in the game does belong to Massu over Tactical, as the Caitlyn Karma lane oppression that you guys were talking about back in draft is in full swing.
Yeah, and when you're locked in a 2v2 against the Caitlyn Karma, it does feel really bad. I did like this response from FlyQuest, especially since I do think their bot lane doing well has been such a key factor in their stronger performances that we've seen from them this year.
Yeah, it's been a huge lever for success for this team, which we can judge them by. And Massu himself, you know, he did play a lot against Tactical in 2024, and he was undefeated, versus Tactical. So even though at the beginning of the day, you know, I was interviewing the coaches, and I was, you know, letting them know, oh yeah, Cloud9 haven't lost to FlyQuest all year long, but Massu has not lost versus Tactical all ever
lifetime.
long.
Yeah.
All ever
His
long.
entire
That's
life.
a long time.
Yes, there's a song, ever long.
Wow.
All right, we're getting in the cultural times here.
Yeah.
As we do have the Dragon started up by FlyQuest. Blaber is in the neighborhood. C9 want to make a contest out of this one. Vault Breaker charged up. Caitlyn Trap placed onto the floor. Peacemaker flies out. The smite comes in for Gryffin as Quad enters into the fight. Goes for the shuffle. Traps Loki between the soldiers and the wall. Forces the flash out of the Orianna. So although C9 wanted to try to stop it, you saw the smites come down in the first one. Take it to about 20 HP or so. Looked like a bit of an improper timing there from Blaber, which led FlyQuest to being able to escape with the objective. But now Gryffin is back down here in the bottom lane, looking to maybe get something as a follow-up. But no, he's spotted by the ward. Tactical and Vulcan get back.
Yeah, and it kind of just allows for all of them to reset, pick up some items. But yeah, this is what having that pushing bot lane allows you, right? Is the first look at the Drake. As we look back on the smite, because this did end up being pretty dicey.
It's a good old-fashioned fair smite fight. I love these, and nobody has upgraded smite, so they're just looking to chunk it down. Massu's like, you know what? I want to see you guys put your reaction to the test. Gets it low, 32 HP left. And Gryffin is able to claim it. And then Quad goes for the flash play to go for both of them. He does get the flash out of Loki in trade, which is still always good for Azir, because Azir plus Wukong, as I mentioned in Champion Select, they're looking to immediately blow the Orianna flash and then repeat pressure this champion over and over in lane. Try and use your ults as soon as they come back off cooldown.
Yeah, and we'll see what either jungler wants to do with those flashless mid laners. Meanwhile, you know, Vulcan and Tactical have had enough of getting getting shoved in by the Caitlyn Karma, so they are going to be the first to swap, try to push in this wave before FlyQuest is able to respond with their own duo bot lane.
Yeah, and they say, well, we haven't had enough, so we're going to match you.
We're having a great time, actually.
Yeah, they're going to match him up to the top side. Thanatos, though, he is the lead for Cloud9. Thanatos is actually more than the lead for Cloud9 because he has to make up for the bottom lane that had lost plate money. And he has done so, you know, with his solo kill as well as rotating to the other side. It's a massive top difference here in favor of Cloud9, in favor of Thanatos.
Ooh, but now we get both junglers sitting on their own control wards. Griffin's going to be the first to step up. Cryogen and Massu having control. They're going to look for Blaber, who immediately wants to reverse things right back after Cryogen. But Blaber is very low, down to 100 HP. He's killed away first as FlyQuest now turn their attention over onto Tactical. Griffin's got to be a little bit careful. Down to 300 HP here on the Wukong. As there's your shockwave. Vulcan goes in and he lines up the solar flare right after. Gryffin is stunned up and Tactical guns him down. The rotation from Loki ends up making the difference here on the Orianna as Vulcan has the killer instinct to flash the ball in, and C9 score big.
That was beautiful from Vulcan. Not only the flash in with the shockwave, but then also hits the solar flare, hits the Zenith blade, gets the extra kill onto Gryffin, and Tactical pumping DPS the entire time. Really nice counter attack there from Cloud9 after FlyQuest thought they were going to have the momentum on the first kill.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful combination from Loki and Vulcan. As we look here, Gryffin going on to Blaber. Blaber responding, trying to get onto Cryogen. Cryogen getting out is actually huge too because he's able to kind of get his team up out of there. But then, yeah, this play from Vulcan, so well coordinated. Flash, shockwave, then landing the Zenith blade, stunning up Gryffin so that Tactical can clean up that kill.
Yeah, beautiful from Vulcan, looking both sides here. And you see him already putting his mouse over the Wukong, hits the ultimate, hits the Zenith blade as well, and Tactical's there enough to finish the damage before Vulcan even went down to tower damage. I also want to point out, though, Massu, that was pretty weird for me, like netting in only to go melee range and then getting stunned and cleansing and then having a flash out as well. As the early rotation from mid lane should have been called. The Orianna move was very early on from the mid lane, and they could have been communicating about it. So I think the net forward from Massu was a little off as well.
And I'm going to cover what we missed during the replay. FlyQuest did try to make a play up there towards the top side. Thanatos got away. Solar Flare down here in the bottom lane now is Vulcan alongside Blaber looking to make yet another move. Beautiful True Shot barrage going right through to follow it up. Cryogen dies here first, but now Gryffin is coming in. He's got quad behind him. Blaber with a flash away tries to escape, but the Cyclone catches him. Now Vulcan in some serious danger as well as the Emperor's Divide comes out. Yes, Cloud9 are going to get another kill, but FlyQuest hit back harder. They grabbed the 2 kills in retaliation. They got the 3 grubs during the replay earlier, which is what I was going to try to talk about, but we got more action. So FlyQuest, although we did see Cloud9 land a couple of punches, Fly are not asleep at the wheel.
Look, we already set this up that I felt like you were going to get a workout today, right? Because if we got the game that I kind of wanted from these two teams, this is what it's going to be look like. Punch after counter punch. This is going to allow FlyQuest to get hopefully their second Drake. It doesn't look like, C9 are not going to be able to contest this, which is really, really crucial, especially because of the leads that C9 had been able to build in top and now in that bot lane.
No flash, yeah.
I'm looking Phil.
I'm still
Looking
here.
cover? Yeah.
Can you reach?
Or no?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going cover, we're going cover.
Yeah.
Wukong's coming, okay guys?
Yeah.
It's fine, it's fine.
He's
One
one
shot.
shot.
Back, wait, slowly back. Wukong's coming, Wukong's
Yeah.
coming.
We can still fight, no?
Yeah, maybe looking by on Leona. Okay.
Look here, look here.
Vi 1 HP.
I can kill Vi.
What
Vi
about
no
Leona?
flash, Vi no flash.
No flash.
Leona no
bot
flash,
lane.
Leona no flash.
Just go Leona.
I'm just killing this guy.
Yeah.
Can I get killed?
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, nice traps response from Massu. You know, as Cryogen is going to go down, they're making the calls. Hey, no flash on this guy, so we're going to go kill him. But as long as they get the traps there around the support that is going down, they're able to get the counter kill on both Blaber and on Vulcan. So Emily's match of the week is delivering in combat score. And
Great score. Love that score.
We love combat score. Congrats to Blaber. As we already pointed out, he only needed 2 assists, currently sitting at 3 surpasses Bjergsen for 6th all-time in the LCS.
And funnily enough, he owes those assists to Vulcan. I think in both situations, Vulcan the one kind of creating so much here for Cloud9. Now, of course, the previous play we just watched actually was net negative on kills for them because it was 1 for 2, but they're still trying to keep up the combat score, the action score here for Cloud9, and they have pushed the gold lead to a very sizable amount here. You know, 1,000 at almost 13 minutes as they continue to pressure the bot side, but FlyQuest making their big move
Yeah, FlyQuest have eyes on Thanatos again. During that earlier replay, they tried a 3-man play after him, but weren't able to secure the kill. Now they're sending even more as Thanatos tries to keep the wave away from the turret, but FlyQuest simply do not care. 13 minutes in, they can just hard force this play, find the kill onto the Jayce. Meanwhile, C9 applying pressure onto the tier 1 turret here in the bottom lane. Should be both of these tier 1s dying, as C9 are going to get the first one down here in bottom lane.
Yeah, I was going to say both teams kind of trading pressure points on the map, with the FlyQuest trying to take down Thanatos. Here's exactly what I was talking about, with Quad's Azir trying to vacuum up a bunch of this side lane farm and hammer down this turret, as Cryo is going to go for a little trip into the jungle, get some key vision down. And
some good things for the side of Cloud9, even though FlyQuest trying to answer here. They are going to have a tactical on Trinity Force for Dragon number 3. You know, Dragon number 3 is where you want to put a stop to the stacking for FlyQuest, and Ezreal with Trinity Force going to have a very big impact. Caitlyn, oftentimes we say one item isn't going to be a big impact, but sometimes you can get really good trap setups or placement there, so maybe we'll see if there's a lot of utility out of the traps as well as the damage that Massu is going to be able to bring. If you can get to the dragon early for FlyQuest, it'll have huge benefits. Of course, you're always trying to get that set up early, and is going to allow you the extra vision control.
And one thing I really want to point out about C9's gold lead now,
well, you might have a chance, you might not. Okay, never mind. Let's hear it.
All right, we have a small window before they start fighting again. And it's that topside play with the Ori Leona combo was so crucial because of what it did for Tactical, right? Like prior to that, they were getting really pushed in by this Caitlyn Karma. Tactical is now in such a good spot. And I think for all of the talk we've had about is it a 5-man, is it a 7-man, et cetera, I think Tactical has been performing really well. I'm so glad to see him back in the league. And with this gold lead on the Ezreal, I feel like he is a very trustworthy carry to have in C9's fights.
Yeah, Ezreal definitely one of his favorited champions. Yeah. Definitely one of his best performers, and he has been both very threatening on it as well as not exposing himself to too much risk. Always like to see them try and play on the edge, but FlyQuest here just going to make the cross map as the Rift Herald goes over to Cloud9, try and get more money into Quad. Again, putting the Azir in the side lane is always the recipe here for mid-game. You're trying to get more money on this champion. Despite all of the changes that have gone to Azir over the many, many years, it's always good to get extra money to funnel in to be a big carry AP champ for those mid-game team fights, and you're going to have the ability to make large plays. I will say it's greatly reduced if you don't blow flashes before the dragon fight, and in a lot of cases now, honestly, I think that he'll be better placed looking for like front-to-back damage, but we'll see as Cloud9 takes the vision leading up to the dragon.
Exactly. Cloud9 with control over this bottom side river. Kobe, you mentioned flashes, and all 10 of them are up across both sides of the rift. The only summoner spell that is not available is Loki's teleport, as Gryffin gets grabbed by the Zenith Blade, but now Vulcan's got to be careful. Needs to flash back away because he ends up going too far forward with that Leona engaged. So now FlyQuest, what else do you want to do? Because the dragon has already been secured. C9 had enough of a distraction there with Vulcan that Blaber was just able to take the Drake, no contest, as the Herald is dropped on the side of mid lane, and that should at least be able to find a charge that gets most of the remaining HP of the mid lane turret. Emperor's Divide just thrown out there to stop the Herald charge. Nice usage from Quad. It's not quite the same thing as a Bard ulti, but you know what? It does the same job.
Yeah. You just want to do it early so you get the wall up there and existing before the Herald does charge, so you can just knock it into it and take care of the Herald afterwards.
Yeah, and it kind of pulls some of the power out of this play from C9, right? Like really nice use of the way that they set up vision, forced Fly to check into Fog, and you know, Blaber was already on the Drake, right? And it was really, really important that they stop this FlyQuest early Drake stacking, despite the slight waste of the Herald afterwards because of the Azir ult.
And it's really, really important for both of these teams to be able to compete at the top of the table if they want to try to make it to Worlds, if they want to try to make it to an LCS title, like the one that they could be playing for on October 3rd and 4th at the Gas South Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. You can scan that QR code, get your tickets right now. These guys got to beat the hell out of each other to get there. All you got to do is beat the hell out of that QR code, and you'll be able to join them right there in that arena. It's a thing of beauty.
Don't go punching your screen right now.
I'm imagining someone punching their screen, and as someone who broke their hand punching something, do not do that. It is a bad idea. I'm telling our viewers now.
I'm up here with Flowers and Emily, the two most violent LCS talents.
Punchingest LCS
Yeah, true. Let's
commentators.
go.
Boom.
Someone send help.
Kobe's like, I'm scared.
There's a reason Kobe's not the one in the middle.
Yeah, true.
All right, but we are in the middle of a game state that I feel like could explode at any moment. It's 4-4. It's a 1,000 gold lead for C9, so nothing super huge, but they do have at least small advantages in 4 out of 5 roles as Thanatos continues pushing this side lane, gets that wave shoved up into the tier 2 bottom, but there it is. There's Azir duty once again, like you're talking about, Kobe. Quad is happy to become the biggest, strongest, shiniest chicken he can be in this side lane.
Yeah, I mean, I think the setup for FlyQuest fights does rely a lot on the power of this Azir, right? And specifically, if he's able to get onto this Ezreal. Ezreal is notoriously a very difficult champion to get on top of and eliminate in the back line of a fight because he has so much mobility and agency. So that is, those are kind of the 2 power points in whatever ends up being the next fight that I'm looking at.
And I like that Quad is going the traditional Azir build, the DPS focus.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the variations for, you know, having like Dusk and Dawn when you need sustain and when you want some burst damage for a Sheen proc there. But the traditional carry, wait a second.
Ooh, that is disaster there for FlyQuest. They lose their jungler. 20 seconds until the Baron spawns, 30 seconds until Gryffin is back alive. So at least it's not as bad as it could be if that Baron was already on the map. But Gryffin was the 1 point of FlyQuest that did have a gold advantage. So finding that snappy pick onto him feels good for C9.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice the way that C9 have been playing with Fog, with the tools they have. Obviously, you have a ton of poke from Jayce or Ezreal if they're there, but Vulcan has been so on point with this Leona, locking people down and kind of forcing FlyQuest to make dangerous face checks or make a face check that they didn't necessarily know was dangerous.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'm not as impressed with the way Gryffin is using his face at the moment. They do have 3 Scryer's trinkets right now, the blue trinkets. It is kind of dangerous to face check. Wukong, you have to be very ready and quick at using your clone.
Yeah.
Like this champion, you know, is pretty, you know, decent at face checking, but in the last couple, it has been Blaber this time clicking quicker on his R button as Massu's just dead.
You want to talk about quick, blink and you'll miss it. Massu dies as Thanatos jumps over the wall. That is now 2 out of 5 FlyQuest players that have been insta-gibbed by the hammer in game 1.
Yeah. Do we have the gift to play over again?
Yeah.
same exact thing here, except Massu's now scratching his head. What the heck? That Jayce came out of my own jungle. Regardless, though, yeah, the last one was, you know, Blaber clicks on his R button before Gryffin can click on his W button there for the Wukong to make a clone, and they just instantly deleted him. But FlyQuest's going to click right on that Baron.
Okay, Baron started up. Let's see if we get anything out of it. No, sir. Instead, Gryffin is just going to walk away. Vulcan's solar flare shows that Cloud9 was ready to commit if FlyQuest wanted to stick around, so they are immediately backing off of that one. Cloud9, 3,500 gold lead now. This is starting to get kind of dicey for FlyQuest. Earlier, we were talking about how back and forth they're trading punches, but that was when FlyQuest had 2 Drakes to none. Now C9 is about to tie up this Drake count, so you don't have that different area of advantage while also having the 3,000 gold lead. It's really looking C9 favored.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of how they've been setting up the map, especially for Thanatos and Tactical, and then also how, as Kobe already pointed out, FlyQuest have made some maybe over-eager face checks into a few brushes. And I think it's really big how I don't mind the attempt, right, by FlyQuest at being like, maybe we can sneak the Baron, they back off immediately, but that does end up giving this 4th Drake over to C9, and they should just be able to keep pushing. Now you see they're already rotating up Vulcan and Thanatos to clear out this vision and potentially set up for a Baron take.
Yeah, I'm progressively getting more and more worried for FlyQuest as it goes on, because while, you know, you can like start it up and check and see if they're, you know, blind or lazy or something on the other side. No.
They got to be one of the two, man. Blind and lazy or we're in trouble.
Yeah. No flash on Wukong. This champion, I really think Wukong right now in the meta is excellent with the extra resistances and clear speed that you get because of those resistances, but without the flash, like the flash is such a big playmaking tool for Wukong, because you don't want to have to clone into fights. You want to be able to flash E into fights so you can do your full DPS combo and then use your clone for extra knockups and repositioning within the fight. And then you can really be a monster in these team fights, but we'll see. Him being the lone member with no flash for the next team fight is dangerous!
Ooh, Blaber decides to full send it in after Gryffin. They are going for the Wukong. Second cast of the Cyclone gives him enough distance to stay alive for now, but Quad has to jump back over the wall. The shifting sands to also barely escape, so no kills for C9. But the FlyQuest jungler and mid laner are out of the picture. They must go back to base and heal. Remember that Quad will have his teleport to rejoin the rest of the team if he needs to. As C9 start up the Baron, Scryer's trinket from the FlyQuest side is going to see this started, but it's very low Baron DPS for now. C9 taking this slowly, and they are going to back away from the objective, considering they got no kills. They don't want to tempt FlyQuest to come and stop them and potentially throw the lead.
So, if we're doing a punches count from your earlier, you know, dream of having punches back and forth, I think Cloud9 may have like doubled the amount of punches thrown than FlyQuest now. Even when they don't kill them, Cloud9, quick punch in the face, and they have to run away, and you get an objective.
Yeah, I feel like if we're counting the poke from the Ezreal, from
and
the
shock
Jayce
blast,
as like, punches, right? Like, you're not KOing someone, but you're definitely causing a lot of bruising.
Yeah, they're running away.
Maybe some broken bones, you know?
They're certainly keeping FlyQuest guessing, making them have to remain with their guard up, because it's C9 deciding everything so far in this mid-game. 2 minutes until the next Drake spawns. Remember that Cloud9 have got the previous 2, even though FlyQuest got the first 2. And that first one was 20 or 30 HP away from also being a C9 Drake. If that would have gone to Blaber, if that was just slightly different, then FlyQuest could be staring down the barrel of a Dragon Soul fight in 90 seconds. So if nothing else, they're very thankful that punch didn't land.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think the biggest concern for FlyQuest right now is that with the map control that C9 have, it's just going to make it riskier and riskier to be able to check for vision or anything without taking a face full of poke from the Jayce, from the Ezreal. And I also am trying to think about like what an ideal team fight from FlyQuest looks like at this point, right? Because Kobe, you already touched upon how Wukong can be such a crucial engage tool. We haven't talked about Gakgos much, and it's because we really only touched upon when he got solo killed earlier, right? But this Gnar, rather, hasn't really had a lot of say or agency in some of the team fights that you'd want from a Gnar. They haven't been able to set up really well for the Azir or the Caitlyn. So we're kind of still waiting to see what a good team fight from FlyQuest would look like. But as we see, Massu just loses about a third of his health from more C9 poke.
And honestly, I would highlight that there's too many 3-item power spikes on Cloud9 right now compared to FlyQuest. Even if you like keep the gold kind of close, the third dragon, if the enemy team has too many like extra full build items, oftentimes I'm just going to recommend don't go for the third dragon and wait for the actual soul. Even though it's really risky, you really got to have your best possible chance, because I don't think FlyQuest are going to get, you know, more than a chance or two at another big team fight here. It looks like they are circling around to maybe threaten from the Baron side of the map, though.
And that's what I like from C9 here. You can see, just like with the last Drake, this one is 4 players from C9 keeping FlyQuest's attention over in mid. Blaber solos down the Drake. Now, yes, FlyQuest are still looking over towards that Baron, but another Shock Blast hits. Now, both of the big carries on FlyQuest are chunked down to around half HP thanks to Shock Blast. It feels way too risky to try to start anything. Thanatos stepping forward again, just looking at Gryffin, multiple auto attacks. Ooh. Another Shock Blast. That's a 3rd champ below half HP from Shock Blasts. Thanatos' Jayce is lore accurate here. This man is causing problems for Fly.
Another punch and another FlyQuest member running away.
Yeah.
Well, he punched him and then he also shot him a couple of times. That's
He's just fighting dirty. That's below the belt for sure.
That's pretty messed up. Chase him off the crab though, for sure. That's like the Cloud9 are just kind of bullying them across the map. They're not allowed to do anything. And Flowers, what is the oldest and truest counter to poke? It is always hard engage. Always has been. You have to use flashes on the Wukong, on the Gnar, maybe the Azir too, hell. You got to get your critical hard engage at the critical moment here before getting poked out, but they're constantly getting chunked out, getting poked out here on the side of FlyQuest before they can act.
And remember, back during the lane phase, we were talking about the dominance of the Caitlyn Karma like we were expecting. And yeah, Massu and Cryogen were loving that lane phase, but now Tactical's Ezreal up to an over 1,000 gold lead compared to Massu. Cloud9 as a team, they do have the 1 extra turret over their opponents here as well, as the Baron is started up, but not committed immediately, though. Gryffin goes in, wanting to commit onto Thanatos. C9 peeling back. Gryffin might be your target now, but C9 does not want to overextend because Thanatos is injured. Thanatos probably going to need to take a recall here as Loki steps forward, trying to clear out some of the wave. Blaber goes in, wants to find the target onto Quad. The Azir down to half HP, barely staying alive right now as Blaber loses Guardian Angel. He's going to respawn in a very bad spot. Gakgos grabs the kill. Loki into the stasis with the arm guard staying alive for now, but he dies next. Beautiful fight from FlyQuest, has already found 2. Can they get anything more? C9's not going to let them have it, but Fly finally get their moment.
Gryffin, he gets the flash play. He sees the opening there onto Thanatos. They go in, they get the flash off the Jayce, and then they start to siege themselves. And then it comes from Cloud9 stumbling on their own attempt at the engages. Blaber here tries to get all the way to the Azir, just a little short, so then he has to ult, and he's all alone, gets shuffled into the rest of the team. And the real star are the traps from Caitlyn. Massu here. He traps out of GA. He also traps out of Zhonya's. He baits in the Jayce here so that Gryffin was able to find his image. And then the knockups, all the knockups there from Gryffin. The last one critical too as disengaging. Then they pull up the siege. Here's the Blaber attempt. Look at him go. He tries to Q and flash. It was a little short. Then he goes for the ultimate, but there's no follow-up there. And Gakgos is able to section him off. Trap out of the GA. Yep. Boom, dead. Again, trap out of the Zhonya's here from Massu. Very nice. Into another shutdown from him.
Yeah, and you see it as we see the...
That's... Dom not happy about that one.
Yeah. And off camera, we did get the FlyQuest Baron take, it looks like. But I think the other big thing is that because Gryffin landed that engage, we talk about hard engage versus poke. You know who wasn't a huge part of that fight was Thanatos, right? Because he got chunked so quickly, and then Blaber's engage kind of being a little bit ahead of where the rest of the team was at, immediately shuffled out. So now FlyQuest are sieging on this mid tier 1, and this is, so we see Gakgos kind of stalking along the side. This is what I like about this FlyQuest team, is that they will keep fighting, they will keep punching, right? Like, they never seem particularly out of a game, even if their opponents have a map advantage.
And I will say, it is easy to short a like Q flash on Vi sometimes. You know, it's the full range is kind of hard to get, but Quad didn't even have to flash in response to it, you know? And FlyQuest still have their critical flashes here too. So I don't think that Cloud9 are going to be able to defend very much. And yeah, they have to give up another tower here. So a lot of gold, so much payment off of that critical team fight for FlyQuest. And meanwhile, they still have all their critical flashes on the Azir, on the Caitlyn. I mean, it's looking quite good for the comeback.
Yeah, it's another tower that has to be given up, and I'm going to bet they have to give up this next dragon here as well. FlyQuest still has the Baron for over another minute. The dragon spawning in about 20 seconds. This would be Chemsoul if C9's able to secure it, but it is a point of power for Fly, who have tied the game up in terms of gold. Very, very stark contrast to being down 3,000 just a few minutes ago. C9, however, do have control over the entrance to the bot side river, and FlyQuest are willing to step up to try to challenge that. You can still see about 1/4 of the cooldown remaining on the flash from Gryffin as Massu steps forward, does take a chunk out of Tactical's health bar there.
Ooh, the
Blaber's
flank.
going on a little trip.
Yeah, Blaber with the wrap all the way around here, trying to get the angle onto FlyQuest. Massu chunked down to half HP thanks to the Shock Blast. Gakgos' Gnar bar is mostly charged, but he's not quite there just yet. Blaber with a mega blast cone over the wall. The shockwave on top of him. Blaber's trying to follow it up, but Massu's still alive. Finally dies to the last bit of damage from the Vi. Gryffin in the middle of everybody, going to trade AD carries back and forth, but Blaber is now also dead. Big mega Gnar coming in. Thanatos has to try to run away as Vulcan exits through the back of the fight. Loki still putting out the DPS over the top laner of FlyQuest, who was all alone. Now Cryogen's got to be a little bit careful. Quad's still alive, but he's low on HP. And right when I'm saying it looks like FlyQuest should have control over the river, have control over the current game state, it's C9 who win the fight 3 for 2.
All right, Blaber makes up for the distance this time, because that was the longest range engage that we have seen in a long time. Flanks around the world through the back of the jungle. Super blast cones onto Massu's face, and then just as Massu flashes away, he's still at the ult up, but they're going to fight this.
Yeah, they're going in for it. Quad gets away from the Shock Blast, but Cryogen's going to be the target instead. They know they can catch that Karma so easily. Shockwave into the Solar Flare forces out the stasis from Quad, and he will die right thereafter. Loki has his own stasis to make sure that Quad can't trade the kill. So now with Loki having no resources, very low health, completely out of mana, they do have to be a little bit careful here. Blaber is alive back on the map, heading towards the Dragon Pit, but Gryffin is also here. So actually, I wasn't wrong, I wasn't right. I wasn't anything because that dragon is still on the map.
Yeah, and now FlyQuest are going to potentially be taking first crack at it.
Round
15.
Ding,
Ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, Dragon now, though, it is controlled by C9, and it looks like once the dust finally settles from this extended fighting, it will be a Chemtech Soul claimed 34.5 minutes into the game for C9.
Yep, Azir still dead after everything used to try and stop the previous iteration of the Dragon Soul by FlyQuest.
Not
Blaber's in goal, Blaber's in goal.
Guys, I'm going.
Okay,
Okay.
coming, no flash.
Yeah.
1 HP. Wukong's here with no W, no flash.
Caitlyn dead.
In front, kill Wukong.
Azir door. Yeah. Kill Wukong, guys.
Wukong almost dead.
No flash.
Third Orianna.
Azir low.
Kill Azir.
Yeah. No shield.
That's guy one time.
Kill Lara, Thanatos.
No flash.
I can go Azir again, guys.
Yeah.
Azir door.
Just hop back up.
Azir, guys.
A little bit of
We
a-
can go Azir again.
Yeah.
Oh, just kidding. I missed my Steven's plate. All right. But they had already won the fight by that point anyways. Doesn't matter. And Vulcan was healing back up with his protoplasm. I have to say, man, that the circumnavigation of the globe from Blaber here. He got Massu's flash and the net while his ult was already on him. So still got to follow. And got Cloud9 right back in here. Emily, you predicted this with your match of the week.
Let's go. I mean, it was going to be hard to top Ultimate Grudge Match Bowl Part 3, right? But this has been a banger, right? We've seen really good plays, I think, from both teams. We've seen some pretty big mistakes from both teams, which is kind of what we were expecting headed into this entire match, right? We have two teams, one kind of still trying to feel out adding 2 more players to their lineup. And then FlyQuest with a pretty difficult schedule to start the season as well. And kind of trying to avoid stagnation from and to continue to improve instead of kind of flattening out after doing so well in the first 2 splits.
All right, Baron started up on the C9 side. It looks, or maybe not started up. Blaber is he actually committed to this? Yes, Blaber's trying to just solo the Baron down. He's got the shielding for the passive there. Tactical takes a massive hit down to half HP. Gryffin tries to initiate on the FlyQuest side, but he immediately turned it right back around. Massu is caught. Solar Flare seals his fate, and Griffin's gonna die right next to him. Quad's inside the stasis. He stays alive, flashing away for now. Blaber loses Guardian Angel one more. C9's gotta be careful. Loki also into the stasis as Blaber tries to get away. He might die for real this time. Low health bars all all over C9, but it's only FlyQuest who have lost any men. Quad tries to step forward. He knows there's so many kills that are so easy right now, but C9 has managed to create the distance and get everybody away.
Yeah.
Close but not enough is a frequent term used with Chemtexol.
Yeah, but the big thing about that is this Azir is still so deadly, right? Oh, we see a deep TP coming in.
Oh, and it's Thanatos as well. The Jayce that can do so much damage. He's not going to find anybody immediately hanging around that back of the Baron pit area, but this does give a green light for C9 to go after the Baron. Gryffin's still dead for another 5 seconds, so there should be no challenge. Again, it's another big buff going to C9 uncontested.
Yeah, nice reaction from C9. They're going to be able to get this Baron. They also force Azir to have to respond to that wave that they'd pushed in on the bot side of the map. I'm just looking at objective timers. I'm like, okay, when's the next team fight going to happen, right? Because, again, we've seen what each team wants to do with their compositions in terms of setup. Right now, I'd still give C9 the edge slightly because they should be able to set the map up with their poke like they were doing a lot of the time in the mid game. And really try to keep track of that potential Wukong engage.
Yeah, and the durability afforded by Chemtexol helps so much for these teams that you're kind of looking at such flash hard engage from FlyQuest. Even when they got it, you don't have quite enough damage to finish it off. In the previous scenario, you know, with the extra shields coming through for Cloud9, so with Chemtexol, the extra survivability here, they can get right back to pushing, as you say, and try and poke down during the siege. But if you look at FlyQuest, they were trying to do these trailing split push play where you see Azir on the minimap kind of behind the Gnar out of vision. He was waiting the whole time. He was hoping Cloud9 were going to take the bait and attack the Gnar, but they didn't take the bait, and they've got Baron, so they're going to race your base with Baron. The Baron team always wins those races, Flowers.
Yes, C9's death balling it down bottom lane. TPs are trying to come in, but the first Nexus turret has already been killed. Gryffin tries to engage and buy a little bit more time. Vulcan into the back line, looking to put pressure onto the carries now, as the Emperor's Divide is already used, but Gryffin is down. Gakgos in the middle of everybody, but he won't get much. Quad dies next. FlyQuest are collapsing in real time. The Sun Disk is alive on the ruins of the first Nexus turret. C9 still pushing. C9 still with Baron. C9 find another kill. Cryogen dies. Massu and Gakgos against the full C9 squad. Massu tries to get away as Tactical shifts forward. Gakgos now caught by the Zenith Blade, but the Shield of Daybreak not quite in range to get the follow-up yet. Accelerated Shock Blast finds another target. Gakgos dies before he can transform. C9 just walked up to the bottom lane, kicked the door in, and won the game.
What a game one to start off my match of the week. I'm going to lord over Rez briefly. But this is exactly what I wanted to see from both of these teams.